reports that the terror group ISIS has in fact beheaded an American journalist, James Foley, who went missing some 2 years ago. Now, Fox's own Catherine Herridge, she's standing by with those details tonight, and a very sad, tragic ending in Washington. Catherine.
That's right, Sean. The White House says tonight the president was briefed on Air Force One by his deputy national security advisor about the ISIS video claiming to show the execution of photojournalist James Foley, who was kidnapped in Syria 2 years ago. Fox News has learned that the video is being analyzed by an elite group within the U.S. intelligence community that specializes in media exploitation. They are assessing whether the images and the voice match Foley's, as well as the credibility and terrorist ties of the individual who posted the tape. While three sources suggest there is little doubt about the tape's validity, there is no public confirmation from the State Department about Foley's status. In a statement, a National Security Council spokeswoman said, quote, "If genuine, we are appalled by the brutal murder of an innocent American journalist, and we express our deepest condolences to his family and friends. We'll provide more information when it's available." Earlier today, a leading counterterrorism expert described the group's hateful and increasingly violent acts.
They're getting a significant number of recruits. They're a sexy jihadist organization to the younger generation because they're showing that they're brutal, they're effective, and they can communicate their message.
And within the last few minutes, this statement was posted to Facebook by Foley's mother, Diane, and she appears to provide confirmation that her son has been executed by ISIS. She says she's never been prouder of her son, who gave his life to reveal the suffering of the Syrian people, and she calls on his kidnappers to spare the lives of the remaining hostages, Sean.
Catherine, let me ask you, there's been other reports that there, in fact, are other reporters that are being held by different terrorist groups, and that they are threatening that if America continues the bombing, that this type of retaliation, the beheading of an innocent American in this case, would happen further. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, based on our reporting, we believe that ISIS has at least 2 other Americans in their custody. One is also a journalist, and the second, we believe, is a U.S. aid worker, Sean. All
right, Catherine Herridge, a sad report tonight. Before we get back to Ferguson, we have reaction tonight to this horrible act of brutality by these radical Islamists. Fox News strategic analyst, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, is with us. Colonel, there is a level of depravity and evil and barbaric behavior by this group ISIS. If you could say there's a more evil group than al-Qaeda, this is it. I'm watching the president. He's on vacation, paid very little attention, gave very little support to our allies in Israel. It seems like he just does not seem to want to come to grips with how brutal this push is for this Islamic caliphate. Am I wrong in my analysis?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, here's a president that can't even come to grips with Ferguson, Missouri. But this is really tragic. I am absolutely appalled by it, but not surprised by it. My sympathy goes out to the family of Mr. Foley and to the other 2 hostages who are not coming back. And this is an important point. We cannot let our policy in the future of the Middle East be held hostage to ISIS or Islamic State's threats. The only correct response to this kind of atrocity would be to hit Islamic State targets, strategic targets, hit them massively in what used to be Syria and what used to be Iraq, punish them. Now, it won't stop them from their brutality, their monstrous behavior. But this is a fight to the death. And our president and the governing elite of this country, including too many Republicans, refuse to come to grips with the gravity, with the deep, powerful, profound nature of this threat that does menace Americans. They take a very long-term view, and in the long range, we're the long-range target, make no mistake about it. But as far as brutality goes, they are far worse than al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda, as monstrous as it was, had some ethical standards by their own standards. These people are just butchers.
Well, if this is what they're now doing, they're basically saying either you stop bombing or we're going to continue to behead your journalists. So this is what had happened here. Now, you know, I understand the president's been briefed. Catherine Herridge just reported while on Air Force One, he was briefed by the Deputy National Security Advisor, Ben Rhodes. My question to the president is, what are you going to do about this? What does he plan to do? How is he now going to bomb them further? Is he going to take them on? Is this a declaration of war? Is he going to let this pass? Is he going to continue the bombing? You know, what is the response to this?
Well, I'm really afraid that he will restrain our bombing. And you can't do it. I mean, look, I am sorry for these guys that got themselves captured. I really am. I pity them. And I feel empathy with them. But that cannot control our policy. We are in a fight. We don't have to like it. And I personally don't like it. But we are in a death match. And this apocalyptic group is beyond the ken. It's beyond the understanding of people like our president and the Washington and New York and Cambridge elite, because they don't understand that this is about religion, however depraved and perverted the form of religion. They're not religious themselves. Sean, our elite don't believe in God. They don't believe in religion. That's for the poor people who collect guns. And so they don't understand the transformative power of religion, the appeal and the excuse religion provides to these young men who are slaughtering, raping, kidnapping, stealing in their God's name. It is incredibly powerful. The most determined, not always the most deadly, but the most determined opponents throughout history that civilization has faced have been the killers who kill in God's name.
You know, the administration officials, I think it was Brennan who said that the idea that the caliphate could actually happen is just not true. We see the beheading. We see people forced out of their homes, convert or die, pay taxes, yet they advance and they take city after city that we have fought for. Pretty amazing.
Sean,
yeah.
The caliphate is real. It's here and now, or there and now. And I was suspected for a long time that Brennan was the guy behind that junior varsity remark Obama made about Islamic State. And it would be nice if he retracted that. I mean, these guys are playing in the Super Bowl of terror. They're not JV. And again, our government as a whole, not just Obama, tries to downplay it. Now, there are bright voices, there are courageous voices on the Hill and elsewhere trying to warn people about the threat. But on the whole, people in Washington, New York, Cambridge, San Francisco, LA don't want to be bothered. And by the way, beware cliches. I keep hearing, well, you know, we can't do anything because the American public is war weary. We might be tired of some aspects of war, but we're not cowards. Once you get outside of the Beltway, we're not cowards. And I think, where has been the outcry about the airstrikes? The American people viscerally understand this nature of threat. It's the governing elite that doesn't.
Colonel, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. Meanwhile, tonight, the authorities in Ferguson, Missouri, they are